Hey everybody on the World Wide Web, this is Bo the Mechanic. I'm making another video for everyone, and it's going to be on cylinder misses, misfire, stuttering of your car while you're driving it. Now, a lot of things happen, in cars, and a lot of things need to be replaced, and they're consumables. Like I've talked about before, your brake pads are one of them. They don't last forever and they wear out. Well, another thing is your spark plugs. Your spark plugs are, responsible for making that gasoline that's getting shot in the cylinder explode. And so over time, they wear out, just like everything else. And so, with newer cars, they've kind of pushed the limits of service way up to the infinite boundaries. They say, oh, you don't need a service for 100,000 miles. These spark plugs last 100,000 miles. And some of them do. Some of them are like platinum tipped, like in this Nissan over here. It's a Nissan, that's a 3.5 V6, which is found in a ton of Nissan Maximas, Nissan Quest minivans. A lot of the trucks, trucks will have that in it. I don't know if the Titans came with it, but a lot of the trucks come with it at any rate. And they say, you don't have to replace them for 100,000, 120,000 miles, and you can get away with that. But what you'll start to notice after a while is your gas mileage will start to drop off a little bit, maybe a mile or two per gallon. As you get towards the end of the life of the spark plug, and you'll also eventually start to notice perhaps a little bit of a shudder or a miss while you're driving. And a lot of times this can be alleviated by just changing your spark plugs. And so this is a little bit of a talk about that. One possibility is your spark plugs. So like for instance on that car, and in this car as well, it's got 150,000 miles on this specific Volkswagen, and in that car over there it's got 150,000 miles as well. So spark plugs are definitely a very common culprit. You can get the spark plugs for anywhere. They're really cheap. You can get them from your local places, local, parts stores for a couple bucks each. But specifically, what I'd like to talk about right now is how to change the spark plugs and how to change your coils. Like, this is going to be a good example because it's pretty easy to do and it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, this car that I'm working on is a 2003 Volkswagen 1.8. They put the 1.8s in everything, and so it's going to be a pretty general how-to for all the Volkswagens and Audis. If you've got a 2.0 or if you've got a 1.8, they're very similar. So I'm going to show you guys now how to access the cover, take them off, and put new coils in, and it's really, really simple. While we're in here, I'm going to show you how to do the spark plugs as well. So let's take a look. This is the cover. I just opened the engine bay up. It's just what you're used to, and a lot of people get frightened because it's all up underneath here, but this is really simple. Just take a flathead screwdriver, and these are spring loaded, 1, 2, 3, and those will just twist right off, and this whole cover just comes right off so you can access everything. Let me show you how simple that is. Hey, so we're here. I went ahead and yanked these coils. This right here is called your coil, okay? We're working on this car specifically is a 2003 Volkswagen Passat, but it's got a 1.8 turbo, and this motor is very common to many models. Okay, so all you're gonna do is take the plastic cover off. These coils just stick down in here, and they're just shoved in there like that. So all you do is unplug them. There's a little clip right there. You just press on it and pull at the same time. As you can see, that little piece of metal right in there actually grabs a hold right here on this piece. So if you can't get it off, you can shove a screwdriver in this area and down that way, in that direction, like this, and you can get that metal tab to lift up, okay? Like I said, yank these out. I've got them over here in the corner. I'm not gonna reuse those. These motors, Audis are really, Audi, Volkswagen, they're very notorious for those going bad, especially this type right here. They're really notorious for going bad. They just get old, they get hot, and they eventually fail. And they'll give you a drivable a stutter a lot of times, like a misfire. And I know that just because I've done this so much, but if you didn't know that, you could just get on the internet and read about it. Type in, Audi or Volkswagen 1.8 coil misfires. And lots of people on there will just say, hey man, replace all of them. And you can buy these, the whole set, all 4 of those coils, like I said, I think, are $63 online at FCP Graton, which is a nice website if you guys need a bunch of stuff for pretty cheap. FCP Graton is a great place to go for imports. If you guys got an Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, Lexus, Volvo, all that great stuff. So anyway, these aren't going to get reused. Here's my new spark plugs. I went ahead and yanked all 4 of them, but it's really simple. Okay, this is a spark plug extension, a socket rather. That spark plug will just sit down in there like that, and this is an extension that comes with it. So we'll just go down in there and then thread them out. That's pretty self-explanatory. You guys should probably already know how to do that if you're trying to change your own spark plugs. It's just basic. You unthread them. The scary part, and I've seen a lot of people mess up, is putting them back in, okay? And this is really simple, okay? This is a platinum tip, so I'm not going to try and gap it anyway, just because I don't want to damage the platinum tip. As you can see, it's really thin in there, and you don't need to gap these. They should be pre-gapped from the manufacturer. Basically, I'm just going to drop these in there, okay? And here's where it's sketchy. Don't use, you know, crazy impact or anything like that if you guys do have it. What you want to do is make sure this thing gets threaded in there properly and not cross-threaded. I've seen lots of people cross-thread spark plugs, and it is an absolute bear, so don't do it, okay? Just slide it in here like this and just spin it. You should be able to spin it with your hand pretty easily. See, this motor's got 150 grand on it, so it's a little bit hard, but as you can see, I'm still just spinning it in hand tight at first. And by doing this, you know, you guarantee that you're not cross-threading it because you don't have a wrench on here, you know, cross-threading the threads and getting it all boogered up. So I'm going to do that with all these spark plugs. Just drop in the spark plug, drop this thing in over it, and just spin them till they're tight, okay? Okay, so I just threaded all these in hand tight just by using my socket, my extension. All of them are hand tight. Next thing that you want to do is just make sure that you get these snug. Let's see if I can show you that. I'm not going to wrench on this. This is not a thing where I need to get a breaker bar. They're spark plugs. So you see a lot of people do this too. They'll wrench them in there and, you know, basically cause engine damage to the cylinder head, which is where your spark plug threads into. So basically just put them on there and you want to get them snug plus just a little bit. So that's snug plus just a little bit. I'm not wrenching on it, I'm not putting my whole body on it. Just getting them snug plus a teeny bit of a turn, maybe a 1/16 of a turn. Now I'm just going back and making sure they're all tight. And that's fine. And now we're done with that, okay? Now all we're gonna do is put the spark plug coils back in. So here are all my new coils. I went ahead and unpackaged them. It takes you longer to unpackage them than it does to install them. They're brand new, they look a little bit different. The old ones, if your car looks like this, see, they actually say VAG, V-W-A-G. Volkswagen America Group, I think is what it stands for. But so all these are original. They've probably been on here since the car's been, you know, purchased. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of a tab right there, and it's got a little bit of a tab right there. And these don't really matter because they've never been on this car before. I'm just gonna shove them on. Make sure they seat fully. Next one. Line it up and shove it on. Next one. And you guys get the picture, you know, I'm just shoving them on there and I'm gonna plug the wires back up. And you're pretty much ready to go. You're ready, you've now changed the plugs and the coils on this thing. Like I said, it's a good idea just to change the coils if you guys are gonna do the spark plugs just because it costs 60 bucks. So for less than 100 bucks, you can change the plugs and the wire, the plugs, the coils on your Volkswagen 1.6. We're done, minus just putting the little cover on, like I told you guys. Cover's right here, and I'm not ready to do that, but it would just sit there like this and just twist those things back on. There you go.